Sorry we're running late. As you can see, there are several reasons why. One being the arm, two being the foot, three being traffic.
Oh, we got them here. These are the ones that they came from.
Yeah. Alright.
What y'all be doing with my pens after class is over? That's
We were
what
trying to get them from them.
just like
I leave it here. I leave it here. You got me done?
I don't need to take your pen down.
I just asked a simple question.
You provoked her.
You got provoked her. I'm gonna end up with a broken
I'm
arm.
telling you.
Acting like extra school.
I wake up. I go to bed healthy.
No, you didn't.
And then I wake up like this.
Like,
Y'all do them.
I'm tired. Stop the lies.
The cat.
Stop the cat.
Ain't cat. I gotta do that.
Alright, so we're gonna turn to page 35 in our workbooks, and today we're gonna discuss insurance. What do you guys know about insurance? Oh, sorry, we're running late, so I figured. Mr. Reed said we have to do our affirmations.
What do you mean? We always gotta do our affirmations.
Okay.
Let's go.
Let's go. Affirmations. I bought $120 worth of jerk chicken. Let's affirm it.
Okay. Alright, are we ready?
Why are you not up yet? How I get up before you?
Number 1.
I will attend each class.
Number 2.
I will get a bank account.
Number 3.
I will retain information from this class.
Number 4.
I will use this class to help me later in life.
And louder.
I
Number
will
5. My goals. Wait, hold on. I gotta do that. Yes, you did. Yes,
It
you
was
did.
my fault. Number 5.
I will accomplish my goals.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Talking about.
Alright.
I'm just ad-libbing from the back. So,
Insurance. What do we know about insurance? Anybody?
It's like a fee you pay every month and like helps and stuff like that, so you can get covered for like you.
Sorry, say that again.
Okay, I know about health insurance. But
Yes.
You pay every month so you can get like coverage for bills.
Yes, yes.
Not all the way, but sometimes.
It's car insurance.
There's different types.
There are multiple
Car insurance
different
is
types of
one.
insurance.
Well,
Were you gonna say something?
girl.
He said car insurance. Go ahead.
Well, like you said, she just like coverage in general, so it's the coverage of multiple different
avenues of
yes,
Yeah. Right? So we're learning about building wealth and how to manage our wealth, right? Budgeting. My bad, go ahead.
Insurance is lost, damage,
Oh,
building.
oh my
God.
Where you get them from? Thank you.
Right.
Thank you, Josh. I appreciate that. So
Yes, the black market.
our takeaways for this lesson, right? We're gonna learn the role of insurance, right? Why it's important, the importance of it, the different types, asset protection, and having a will. You know what a will is, right? Good. And then some terms that we may not be familiar with that we're just gonna go over. Insurance is a practice or arrangement by which a company or government agency provides a guarantee of compensation for a specific loss, damage, illness, or debt in return for payment of a premium. Debt. So premium is one of those words we're gonna go over at the end, right? So we're talking about building our wealth. We're talking about how to different avenues of gaining wealth and all that stuff. But the one thing we have to know is how to protect that, right? How to protect ourselves and how to protect our assets, right? So that's why we have in lessons on kind of understanding insurance, the role it plays, and why it's important to have it, right? The role of insurance is to provide protection of your assets, right?
Choking on water.
Get him out of here.
Where's your water at?
Right here.
Okay.
Protection of assets. So we know what assets are, right? Remember?
Okay, we just talked about it. The money that you get out
Yes, exactly. Things that make you money. Shh.
Right, stay in the back.
You got it? Do you need to come up a little? I mean, there's a spot right here. Yeah.
That's what you need, glasses.
Oh my gosh. Every week we go through the same thing. I just keep forgetting to move them.
Yes, come.
Bring water, you're gonna be there the whole class.
So it protects you from major financial catastrophes, right? We already established what assets are. And thank you for knowing. Yeah. So while on our journey to financial independence, you will need to put fail-safes in place. Acquiring and maintaining insurance will allow us to do just that, right? So let's take a look at the different types of insurance that we need to have. The first one is health insurance. You probably don't even think about this at your age now because you just go to the doctor when you're sick, right?
For checkups.
Or what?
For checkups. Kids go for checkups,
Oh,
physicals.
yes, they go for their physical. So, health insurance is what your parents are covering you with now at this age. Until you turn 25 years old, then you have to find coverage for yourself, right? Because that's about the age that their government's like no more. But health insurance is a type of insurance coverage that pays for a medical or surgical expenses incurred by the insured. Oh, can you see it better now? So it's a type of insurance that's coverage that pays for a medical and surgical expenses incurred by the insured. The insured would be you or your parents, right? What happens when we don't have health insurance?
Yeah.
Josh, not so bleak.
You have to pay the bills in full.
You have to pay the bills in full. And health insurance is not cheap, right? Unfortunately, we don't have universal health care in the United States, right? So it's a lot of money. And even when we do have health insurance, right, if something major happens to you, majority of insurance coverages, right, is like 80-20, which means that the insurance company will pay for 80% of the cost, while we, as the consumers, will have to then pay for the other 20% of whatever we have to do, right? Like his surgery that he just had, I'm just waiting for that bill to come knocking at the door, because it's coming, right? You said, ha.
I'm gonna mail it to you.
With the rising cost of medical bills, it's vitally important that we have health insurance in place. Many people have had to file bankruptcy because of major medical bills. You have to think about it. I have a friend, right? She has chronic problems, right? So one of them is I don't even remember what it is. My point is, so what she does, she has health insurance, but she uses, what's the coverage, babe?
Blue Shield.
No, not the insurance company. What is it when you pay the health savings account, sorry. So she uses a health savings account, right? And the health savings account, how that works is, because she has chronic illnesses and medicines that she has to get on a yearly basis that adds up to a lot of money, she has this health savings account where she has to pay out of her pocket $5,000, right? Higher deductible than our parents would have, or your parents would have, right? Higher deductible for health insurance for the year. So she pays $5,000 at the beginning of the year, and guess what? For the remainder of the year, for all of her medicines and anything extra, any visits, she has to take extra visits to the doctor, hospital, or whatever, it's covered 100% by her health insurance company because she opted to do a higher deductible where she's covering that $5,000 up front. And it's great for her because, like I said, she has like this chronic thing that she's going to the doctor constantly. And at the end of the day, when you're constantly going and you're like raising your bills so high, it just makes sense, right?
The HSA plan is actually a really good plan. It allows you to actually, you know, and when you guys get to the age in where you're going to have to work and choose your benefits, an HSA plan, you can actually invest with an HSA plan. So the money that you don't use during that HSA plan actually gets invested and it grows with interest, right? So there's only two types of people that should have an HSA plan. One, if you are super healthy and you don't have to go to the doctor a lot, you can get one. And two, someone who has, like her friend, who has a chronic illness and has to go to the doctor a lot, right? Because then she pays the high deductible and then the remainder of her coverage is paid for. Someone who goes to the doctor, you know, here and there shouldn't have an HSA.
Like us, for instance, with a young family, right? Like I had to bring both of our kids to just for a random checkup this last week. One was for her toe. The second one was because he was complaining about his ear, so he had to end up having an ear infection, right? Those random little visits, right, would have cost like way more if we were to be under health savings account plan, right? Because what happens is our deductibles and everything, we would meet them because we're not going as much or as less. Do you understand? So just something to think about, guys. So this area of insurance, though, has caused many to go bankrupt due to lack of insurance coverage. And that's major. So he likes to tell a story, right? There was one time where this family went for a hike. So they went for a hike, right? Apparently a lot of bad things always happen when people go for hikes. Not all the time, but most of the time. So anyway, so what happened was their daughter got bit by a snake. Snake was venomous, right? So now they're out in the middle of the woods. She has a bite. She has to get to the hospital like within an hour because they could be deadly for her, right? So what happens is they had to then call them to helicopter them in, right? And what is it? They took them to one hospital and then had to take them.
And had to airlift her to another hospital who had the anti-venom.
So airlift them to another hospital who then had the anti-venom, right? Now mind you, an ambulance ride is like $500, right? If you guys call ambulance, right, that's $500. Could you imagine a helicopter ambulance ride? Like, that's like $30,000, right? That's a lot of money. Not to mention anti-venom. Anti-venom is like, you know, it's rare. Not everybody's using it, so it's expensive. So needless to say, at the end of all of this, the family medical bill was
over $100,000.
$100,000.
Just to get bit by a snake. At that point, you just gotta think about life, like, you know.
Now imagine if they didn't have health insurance coverage to help with that cost, right?
And that's after health insurance covered it.
Really?
Yeah,
That was after?
the $100,000 was out of pocket.
Oh.
Because
Needless to say, somebody who's not in a good financial place to cover that cost would be stressed out of their mind, right? Because the medical bills aren't going to stop coming. And if you don't pay, then, I mean, the next thing we're going to talk about is how does that then affect your credit, right? Because it's going to go to bankruptcy. I mean, it's going to go into a bad debt, and they're going to report to collection agencies, right? So it's important that, you know, you guys understand this, and after you're 25, when you have to be out on your own and get all this.
yeah, y'all all want
Make
to
sure
be
you get covered.
independent. Y'all all want to be independent until them bills come in.
Car insurance, yes.
Everything that you're learning here to put yourself in a good financial position at some point can all be wiped out by one illness. An appendix, anything that happens, you could save $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000. and have it all wiped out in one fell swoop. That's why this is so important, because it ensures not just your health and your life, but your finances as well.
Yeah.
What happens if one of your family members die, but they use like mad medical stuff? Does the family have to pay for it still?
So that's a good question. It's gonna be dependent, right? So for instance, what type of family member? Because if you're saying if my husband, then yes, I'm responsible for it because we're married, right? Now, if it's like your brother's uncle, cousin, best friend, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
It depends on where they are in the family.
If it was a child, the mother would have to pay for it?
The mother is.
Wait, obviously,
Yeah.
like,
Mhm.
oh,
But if it's like your cousin, right? It would be your aunt and uncle would be responsible for that bill, right? Not your mom and dad,
no
right?
matter how old they were, so like if they were 30.
No. Like what did I say? When you're 25, you gotta do what?
Okay, so now if they're 30, but they got no relationship with nobody, then what?
Good question.
That's what we call it.
So when somebody dies, the estate has to settle. If the estate doesn't have no money to pay for it, it doesn't go to somebody else. So you're not liable for it. It just.
Well, yeah, so it goes through probate. So probate is what it will go to. So probate is a court that handles situations like that, right? So for instance, if like in your scenario, that person passes away and they have a lot of medical debt, they have a lot of taxes owed to the state, they just have so much debt, right? What will happen is the probate process will happen. So what the probate courts will do, they will try to figure out how much assets this person actually has. So say for instance that 30-year-old had a house, then guess what? The house is gonna get sold and divvied up to all the debtors, right? Now, as far as the debt, the pecking order, the government's always gonna come first.
Yes. So on top of that, there's something we call secured debts and unsecured debts, right? So are you gonna talk about that later?
Yeah, when we get into credit.
So secured means, like you said, the house, they're gonna lose the house to cover the taxes.
Correct.
But unsecured debts, like the medical bills, it's just tough luck on what
Yeah.
died.
Correct.
That's just what it is.
So that would be only in your sense where they're old enough to be responsible for their own debt, but they are not with a spouse or so forth. You understand?
Yeah, I mean, that happens all the time, right? We all know broke people that pass away, right? And they have a lot of debt. Unfortunately, whoever they owe money to is probably not gonna get paid.
Yeah.
You know?
And I mean, the family might do something like give them a debt certificate, like, yeah, stop calling or writing this address because there you go, this person is deceased, right? No one's gonna, I'm not gonna take on their debt because why would you do that, you know? And dang, I want to say something else, let me just right over my head.
And a lot of times too, like when that situation happened in the probate system, someone is then the head of the person that's representing that family. They may either get it to a probate lawyer and a lawyer is speaking on behalf of that person. But I mean, at that point, if you're that broke, you're probably not gonna have a lawyer. So normally they have like a family member that just, will represent that person. For instance, if say my mother passes away and she's going through probate, being her son, I would, file all the paperwork and make sure that the probate process happened and all these debtors, get their money and whatnot. Because at the end of the day, if my mom had an inheritance for me, I'm not getting that because the debtors are going to be first in line to try to get whatever the inheritance is, right? So.
And you have to think, and that was the thought of mine. Don't co-sign for nobody. Okay?
Y'all know co-signing me, right? That means that the person who's asking you to sign your name next to them doesn't have a good enough credit that they want you to put your name down there. And if they default or don't pay that bill, guess who has to pay for it?
Or unfortunately
Exactly.
pass away. It becomes your problem.
Yep. Now, mind you, you gotta realize that person didn't have good credit to begin with. So the person that they were, or the company that they were trying to get credit from is literally saying, listen, we don't trust you. You won't pay us back. So you need to find someone else to co-sign on this, that if you don't pay us back, we're gonna just forget about you and go after the person that you co-sign.
And you can say no?
Of course you can tell someone you don't want to co-sign for them. But if you co-sign for them, you can't say no, you gotta pay that debt.
No, I would be so
so mad if somebody put my name down.
No, they can't,
they-
you would have to agree to it.
Yeah, you have to physically be there, sign your name, and put your information.
But
I'll never.
that's what Steph is telling you. Don't co-sign for anyone. They could be your best friend, they could be your mom, your dad.
Your boo.
The bank is telling you that this person has a history of not paying back money. That tells you right then and there, like, I'm not gonna co-sign for this person, because if you co-sign for them, guess what? They're gonna still do that same habit, not pay back that money, and then the bank is gonna come straight for your money.
Put it.
So, moving on to car insurance now. So, car insurance is insurance that covers the individual in the case of theft, accident, or other mishaps with the vehicle, right? So it's covering you, the insured, in case if there's a theft, accident, or any kind of crazy thing that's happening with the vehicle. Things, bangs.
And that's the same for like motorcycle insurance. I had a motorcycle one time. It was a nice motorcycle.
Had to throw it in there.
It was fire. I had lights on it and everything. I was the envy of the neighborhood.
Oh, yeah, and then what happened?
I don't care.
Yeah.
What happened to it?
Someone hit me off of it, and then they totaled my bike.
Did you get hurt?
Mhm.
Oh my god.
Mhm.
I still want to hurt around.
Right.
You want one?
Yeah, me too. My mom said she could teach me.
Oh, no.
Listen, you gotta understand, with motorcycle accident, 9 out of 10 of them is not the person that's riding the motorcycle. It's the person in the car that's not paying attention.
Stupid trying to ride in between you, the cars on the red light.
And just be like
Yeah.
showing off.
Yeah.
Just
Y'all can't be mad because
Yeah, over there.
past traffic and y'all not. But don't be dumb.
But that's the thing, when you're riding a motorcycle, you have to, when you're riding it, you have to think 2 steps ahead. You gotta think of the person that's coming out. Like, you really gotta think 2 steps ahead.
all right, enough about motorcycles. What's going on with these water bottles? You don't talk about this.
I'm surprised you made that.
All right, so instead of the individual paying for it all out of pocket, the insurance company will pay if any of these things happen to your car, right? Can you drive around without car insurance?
Yes.
No, because now what if we get in an accident and yeah.
No, you can't. It's illegal. You have to have car
People do it
insurance on your
though.
car.
That's
All
why
the time.
they hit and run.
Yep.
All the time. Yep.
That's why. Never mind.
And they know all the back roads. All the back roads. So there's full coverage and there's liability coverage when you talk car insurance, right? So full coverage is just like what it sounds. It covers the entirety of the car, and it covers like medical, it covers your passenger, it covers the other other party's car. So if you cause an accident, the insurance company will fix your car and it will fix the person's car that you damaged.
But how much do you have to pay to get into that?
So that's gonna be dependent, right? Hold on 1 second, let me get there. If there are medical reasons, like if you have to go to the doctor, hospital, the insurance, the car insurance will cover that up to a certain amount. So it's all dependent on the level of insurance that you cover, that you purchase, as to how much that they will cover. Now, as far as how much it costs, it's dependent, right? You being young, first time driver, right? If you were to say, man, I'm gonna be independent, I got my own car, I don't need my parents, I'm gonna get insurance for myself, your insurance company will be out your,
So just like
it
my
would be
sister.
very expensive.
You probably pay like $800 a month for insurance.
Yeah, that's what my mom said.
Yeah.
Can't you put your child onto your insurance?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what most parents do in order to keep, because the cars, so if they purchase a car, it's gonna be in your mom's name or your dad's name, right? And then the insurance is gonna be in your mom's name and your dad's name, so the insurance company is gonna be like, oh, this insurance is under, such and such, right? So they're gonna give you a decent rate, because guess what, your parents have been driving forever. So they look at your parents' driving history, and if it's a good driving history, they're gonna give it, a nice low rate. Now, what your parents can do too is have you as a rider on the insurance, right? So, they can do that, but they don't have to. As long as you're driving the car and you can legally operate the car, you don't have to have the insurance in your name. So it literally would be in your mom's name or your pop's name, and you can drive the car anywhere. If you ever get pulled over by the cops, you just give them the license, the registration. They may say, oh, well, your name's not on it, so you can say, oh, this is my mom's car. And they'll be like, oh, okay, that's fine, because you have permission to operate the vehicle.
So,
Question?
yes.
What if you die or something, but you're under your parents' name and you got into an accident and it's your fault?
Well, then your parents would have to be liable for all the damage. Obviously, the insurance is going to cover their portion of it, and then anything else out of pocket may come to you. And that's why you have insurance, because people, what do people like to do? They like to sue, right? If you get into any type of car accident, they're going to sue. That's what your insurance is there for. They have coverage, and what do most lawyers do? They figure out what that coverage is, and they see how much they can sue for. Sometimes it could be like $100,000, and guess what that lawyer is going to sue for? $100,000, because they know that the insurance company is going to pay. There was a situation, and that happened in Hartford on Blue Hills, where high school kids. There was 4 of them in the car. They're driving reckless, and the guy who was driving crashed, and he passes away. And the other 3 in the car, they had injuries, but they lived. You know what they did? They sued his insurance. Their dead friend. They sued his insurance.
How would you do that though?
Because it was his parents had the insurance coverage for the car. They got into an accident. They got injured, so now they got to pay for medical bills, and they had all the rights. They could sue, and they sued and they won. Now that's why you have to have insurance, because guess what? What if you didn't have insurance and they sued?
Right.
You got to pay that out of pocket.
Then they'll be going after your other assets, right? And so it's important. So don't take it. Don't still get your license as as young as you can, because what happens is even if you don't have a car and you're not on the road, your years of you being a licensed driver, right, is still tacking up. So when the time comes and you do get insurance and everything, they're like, oh, well, you've had your license for 4 years. They're thinking, oh, that's 4 years of responsible driving because you have no blemishes on your record or anything like that, right? So it still looks good. Now, what's liability coverage? Who can tell me what that is, since you just discussed full coverage? Anybody have an idea? Oh, did you have anything? Yes. Yes. So liability coverage is, they cover what you are liable for, right? So they're not covering your car, they're gonna be covering who you hit, right? Whatever you cause that you're liable for, whatever accident you cause. And the reason why people would get liability coverage only is if your vehicle is older, right? So say for instance, your first car, it's a nice little hoopty, but it gets you from A to B, but it's like, man, why do I need full coverage on here? The car costs like $1,000. If the car were to get into an accident, it would cost more to repair the car than it cost me to purchase the car, right? So they get liability coverage on there so that if something were to happen, the person who they hit car will be taken care of, right? But then your car will probably be totaled.
So any property damage, and when we say property damage is anything outside of the vehicle, right? It could be another vehicle, because that's someone's property. You could run into someone's fence, that's property damage, that's someone's property. You could hit a mailbox, that's someone's property. You can hit a pedestrian, that's their property, right? That's their body. So liability coverage is gonna cover all of those, but you won't get a penny for what happened to you during that crash.
Right. And then there's theft coverage.
We all know what theft coverage covers, right?
Car is theft, right? So then the next thing is life insurance.
What do you think life insurance covers?
Life. Oh my gosh.
You sure?
Yeah.
I already read the chapter, so that's it.
Yes.
It's like when you die, if you have any death or anything, or any of that, it's like paid off to your family. And you can leave like an inheritance behind.
Mm-hmm.
Beneficiary, yes.
Yes. Life insurance does not benefit you. You take it out to benefit your beneficiaries, the people who you are leaving behind, who are dependent on you. Right? Life insurance is insurance that pays out a sum of money either on the death of the insured person or after a set period of time. There's two forms of life insurance. Well, there's multiple forms of life insurance, but there's two that we're going to talk about.
Are we on life or whole life?
Whole life insurance is the first one we're going to talk about.
I know
Go ahead, read.
as a cash value built in pays a death benefit. It is the most expensive form of life insurance.
That is, Josh, how do you do that? That is correct. That is 100% right. Whole life insurance is insurance that covers the entire life of the customer. He's smart. He reads. We would be the customer, right? And so this insurance covers, just like its name, would be our whole life. Yes.
You only have to leave it to a family, or could it be like a random person?
You have to leave it to somebody who you know is social.
Oh, I'm sorry, what did she say?
Do you have to leave it to a family, or does it have to be a random person? Or can it be a random person?
Oh yeah, we leave your money to.
That's up to you.
Yeah, that's up to you. You can leave it to your. You know how many rich people
Leave it to their dog?
leave it to their cats and their dogs? Like they leave millions of dollars to their pets when they pass away because, and then obviously they have like a human person with the money
That oversees.
the dog that just got a $10 million life insurance on the inheritance.
Did y'all just see that? Did anybody see
Yo,
that
and
Netflix
people love their
movie?
cats and they dogs.
What's the Netflix movie?
You.
No.
First of all, you ain't supposed to be watching that. You too young.
Shameless.
Did you study on my Netflix?
No.
Then why was I on the
It's
next
a movie.
episode?
That's
She
not
said
my
movie,
Netflix.
back to the movie.
Oh, you
It's
said
the movie with the little dog. I can't
Back to
remember
the
his name.
Future.
Wait,
I'm
what
not
dog?
talking for you right now. Back to the Future. It's an animation.
Oh,
I was gonna say Beverly Hills.
No, it's like new, and I watched it with my son, but it's about a dog who had a rich owner, and the owner died and left it to the dog, left it to people, but they had to take care of the dog, like that's a part of it. But anyways, I digress.
I don't think Netflix even had a movie like that.
What?
I think you just made that up.
No, it
What
was.
was it?
Oh, maybe it wasn't Netflix. Maybe it was a movie that came out and we pirated it. I don't know. Anyways,
But what about like when the animal dies, the person that's taking care of it gets the money?
yeah.
So imagine they just like.
Yeah, right.
Well, that's what they tried to do in the movie.
They try to kill the
They
animal.
tried to kill the dog, but
Oh,
the dog was
that's messed
persistent. Yes.
That dog.
Keep it alive until it dies eventually.
I would kill it.
Like they're like, you know what?
Let it die.
That's exactly what they're trying to do. They're like, this dog.
But you know they gotta have fail safes in place, right?
Yeah.
You know, because they know that might happen.
They have to be, the money probably has to be like natural circumstances, they probably have to go a whole house to make sure there's no poison and none of that stuff. Cause there's a lot of, usually we're talking about $1 million here.
Well, it doesn't matter what animal. So if I had a pet rat, I could kill it and I'll get the money for it. If you left money for the pet rat.
First of all, Gil, why a rat though? Do you know how
Because it's easy to kill.
No, it's not. Actually, rats are very hard to
But
kill.
listen, no, get a pet rat. And then it'll die of natural causes.
That's it.
That's right.
Do you know that rats are cleaner than dogs?
Listen, I was just saying, just so I can kill it. So I
Never
can
get
get
my rat.
My friend.
Obviously, she does.
My teacher. No, I'm no rat.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I want to get out.
Yeah.
What they like, handcuffs?
Oh yeah. Don't let it
Girl,
bite
you won't even be able to do it.
No, they're not animals.
Ew,
They just in very
I'm not
nasty
gonna go to
places.
the next day.
First of all,
But it was a gift.
back to what I was saying, right? So, back to whole life, let's get into stuff so we can eat.
All right. We're getting back. Let's bring it back.
So, whole life insurance, it has a cash value,
Hey, can I get a?
has a cash value built in and pays a debt benefit.
I'm coming over.
Just hold your nose.
First of all, who you hating?
Yeah, he's brown guy. Remember.
That's mad disrespectful. I know we joke around in here, but that's mad disrespectful.
So, It has a cash value built in and pays a death benefit. It's the most expensive form of insurance, right? Because, so they're covering you for your entire life, right? Why would somebody choose to have this form of life insurance?
So they don't pay it right now? Or do they?
You have to pay the premium for your whole life. So whatever it is, right? So if it's $300 a month, you're paying $300 a month until the day that you decease. You no longer cease to be.
So you think have a big inheritance at the end?
That's the funny thing, right? Maybe not. Because it's the most expensive form of life insurance, so the range of coverage, right, that it costs is between $2,145 to $32,547 a year for $250 to $1 million policy. I once knew someone who was having a conversation, right, and they were legit paying, I think it was like $250 a month, $250 for a $250,000 policy. That's not a lot of money, $250,000. Where if you get term, which is the next one we're going to cover, you probably pay less and get more protection, right? So what this means is that if you have $250,000, right? If you were to pass away, your family member or whoever you leave as your beneficiary, whether it's your right or not, would get that $250,000, right? Now, it also has a built-in cash value. That means that while you're also paying for this premium, they're also putting money aside in kind of like this investment portal, right? Where you could pull the money out when you are still alive, right? So if after 10 years you've saved up, let's say $10,000, and you're like, man, I really need some money right now, and I have this money sitting here, you could pull it out and that money would be yours to use to do what you want to do, right? While you're still being alive. However, if say you passed away and you had that $10,000 in there and your policy was for $250,000, what do you think your beneficiaries are going to get? Are they going to get $250,000 or are they going to get $260,000?
150 because you took the money out?
No, you didn't touch it yet.
260.
260.
$1,000.
Who says 250?
I don't even know.
260? Most?
Alright,
So what's gonna happen is this built-in cash value that you've been like saving up for and that you could use when you're alive, but you never got a chance to pull it out and do anything with, goes back to the insurance company.
All of it?
All of it. Your beneficiaries are only gonna pay for what you have in your plan, which is $250,000.
Oh, so say, I don't know, this is just random, but say that the child is still young and the mother and dad died. Does it go to his insurance, the little kids?
So if your parents had life insurance set up, right? And their child was a beneficiary, like our kids are beneficiaries to our life insurance, right?
We'll get mad money.
But what happens is, if they're too young, then whoever is going to be their custodian, like their guardian, would then be in control of that money for them, right? Until they, of course, reach the appropriate age that they're able to understand.
I watched this show where this guy was chasing orphans' money, and they put him in like control of their like whole assets because their parents both died.
Yeah. And that's scary, right?
Yeah,
It's probably a lot of money when people put
In situations that happen like that, if your parents had you on their life insurance and say it was $1 million policy and they passed away and you're only 15 years old, again, and they had you as, their number one beneficiary. There's two situations that can happen. One, you can enter in what's called a trust if they've done that, right? They set up a trust. A trust means that they're gonna literally trust the money to, say a lawyer or some type of entity to pay you, give you that money when you reach up age, right? Now, there may be some speculations before you can get that money, right? Because some people may say, hey, you may have to go through a personal financial literacy class and pass this class at the age of 21 before any of this money. is then given to you. What does that mean? If you don't align by what the trust is telling you to do, you're not getting any of that money until you do that, right? Or it could be in a custodial, which someone will handle that money, you know, like say my mother, right? I'll have her as, you know, the money will go to her. She'll take care of the money until my kids get of age, and then she would then dispense that money to them. You know, it all depends on how your parents set it up. And we're gonna talk about wills too, this class, so you guys get a brief understanding of that as well.
This line is so funny for them words.
Sorry. All right, so we're gonna cover term and then we're gonna break for food. So term life insurance. So term life insurance is insurance that covers the customer for a specific period of time. So usually it's between 20 to 30 years and pays out a death benefit while in the term time period. So this is the least expensive form of life insurance. So whereas you're talking about thousands with whole, you're talking about hundreds of thousands here. So it ranges from about $133 to $3,185 a year for a policy with the same amount, which is $250 to $1 million policy, right? So whereas, you know, on a monthly basis with a whole life insurance, you probably could be paying in the hundreds. In a term life insurance, you're probably, you know, paying like maybe $30 if you're young, $50 if you're getting up there in age. But over a year, you're gonna be getting more coverage for less money. So the goal is to use this period of time that you're insured to get all your finances in order, build wealth, and become self-insured. What do I mean by that, right? It means if you're paying, say, $3,000 a year for whole life insurance, right? But you could be paying $1,000 a year for term life insurance. You've already had that money allocated, right? So why not say, use that $2,000, get term life insurance, use that $2,000 and invest it, right? Do different forms of investment that's gonna grow compoundly, right? Right, so that we're building more wealth instead of having all of our money go towards a term life insurance. Now we're building wealth, so it doesn't matter if and when we pass away, right? We have wealth that we're building, that we set aside, so if we pass, our families are gonna be set regardless, right? Because we're using our money wiser. So that's the idea, right? So it doesn't matter if this term, if we die outside of this term or not, we've already established that we have different forms of avenues coming in with our investments. We have no debt. We're not going to be a burdensome to anyone that we leave behind. Questions? Make sense? Okay, that was a lot of talking. All right. Sanitize and let's eat, and we'll get back to it. Oh, look. George, you're ahead of the table.
Yo, man, I'm not playing about this food, man. This food was pricey.
All right, who wants to start? Who? I'll start. Shoot.
Yeah, you show them.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's see what this looks like. Take the tops off.
Don't cut yourself. Those are one of the most dangerous weapons known to man.
You need help?
Toilet paper companies.
What else we do for a living, man?
I work for the state.
The state?
Yeah,
What do you do for the state?
Department of Revenue.
Oh, I'm not talking to you.
Yeah, I kind of figured that. Every time I tell people what I do,
I'm not talking to you, buddy.
I'm cool though. I'm that cool person that helps everyone.
Tell Stephanie to get you a plate, man.
Tell Stephanie. Oh.
So you chase the bad guys like us?
Oh no, I don't do that.
Like
I'm not that far
the
up.
tax desperados.
No, Stephanie, don't get it. I wanna see it come get.
Smelling all of the junk.
How I get into this?
Wobbling over here.
That's not what I'm saying.
Listen,
Tax desperados.
Listen, it's a means to learn. I just need to be with them.
It's,
The
it's-
state,
You
my
take
kids
so I
call
can
it
get
stuff.
free insurance for the rest of my life.
Minimum, you always pay taxes, no matter what you do.
So, listen,
No matter how you mess with the IRS
know.
returns, you're always gonna pay taxes. to the state.
Bottom half, is like-
but you know the crazy thing is like the amount of people, like millionaires in Connecticut,
Oh,
that no tax.
I'm sorry, man,
I'm looking at them like,
I'm impartial, I'm one of those guys, so.
so you one of those millionaires?
So I don't know, I just know that on paper, it looks like such a totally different way, you know?
Hey, listen, you guys,
Also, let us
And again, all the contractors you hire in this town.
Y'all gonna let us stay up here too
No, and I don't. I actually, the crazy thing is,
Yeah.
I was on the phone with this guy calls in. She was making like $12 million a year.
But how much did it show on paper?
Exactly. So I literally asked him.
Yo, I am like,
I'm getting nosy. I'm trying to take notes. Like, what are you doing?
you take a lot of appreciation, a lot of health accounts, and a 401k for himself.
Listen, I think he only paid like $600,000 in taxes over 12
Yeah,
million.
excluding
Kimberly's probably zero. Probably bought a whole bunch of vehicles. That's what you gotta do.
Yeah.
Buy a whole bunch of fleet vehicles, and then you go to sales. Give them back, give them away or something. Basically, you give to your kids 10 grand a kid.
He always talks about
Put
it.
in there.
See
See that? I'm glad you know that guy. If I go in there, I'll tell you what I know.
Really,
You'll be like, oh my gosh.
And that's what we.
Had a school, had a backpack.
I'm just saying, I guess it's a lesson like this. We never had this.
Correct.
We was not gonna go and waste his time at 10 o'clock at night teaching.
Yeah.
Picks it up, shoves it back in his
Well,
bag.
you gotta start to tell these kids, presentation is everything.
Correct.
Like, we all dress a certain way. This, you gotta be the part. Everything's gotta have people on the shirt tie.
I know.
Make sure they just lock in.
Yeah.
They have to get this, that shirt tie.
Yeah.
No,
That's
you're
right.
right. Jokes, man.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Like, we cool because we just not in class. But when you come to class and this stuff, you gotta dress
Oh,
the
you
part,
said
be the part.
There's one more.
No, I mean, inheritance is huge.
God, the way you talk, the way you sit in the chair, like, you can't do that, man. You gotta be straight.
You know what? It's funny. I told him more than he should.
Make sure they do. We get them a tie and a shirt, man. Like, yo, wear that same shirt, you wash it every week or whatever. I'm like, this, have
Well, the thing is, so, I do this too.
I got
Oh, yeah, because I'm from that area, so,
Man, yo, you got football again, bro. You broke it up there.
Senator Doug McCord.
What's it, Republican, Democrat?
Democrat.
I can't really deal with politics, but we put.
I seen off on TikTok.
You know, I'm just a straight guy.
Oh.
So he has a program called Uplift, in which,
Where's it at, up on Albany Avenue?
so, before the whole COVID
Just
thing,
give
it was on, Albany Avenue,
Yeah.
Upper Albany,
Oh,
You know,
I mean,
So,
I guess it's good stuff.
but I was telling Warren that he should have a, what's the class called, where it teaches you like, etiquette.
So y'all sit, y'all eat at a table, right? Learn how to eat with the fork and all that. And then have the little napkin, like, you got the napkin here or here.
Well, you'll be surprised because if you go to fine dining, the majority of people, adults, don't know the proper protocol or what fork to pick up.
Yeah, do you eat from the outside in, inside out, or you just,
When you cut the steak, right? Y'all cut it a certain way. You can't
gouge it,
I'm
right?
not gonna-
you cut it in pieces.
Just wait.
Eat spaghetti, like stuff like that.
Right there.
Just wait. Just wait. I'm going away.
All the time.
Everything is either over food or drink.
Yes, don't overdrink. Like, but they're not 21 yet, but.
Correct.
Yeah, like, you gotta be.
Yeah, etiquette deals with, you know, like you said, dressing,
Mannerisms.
I know what I'm saying. No, you can't say now.
Just look.
No.
Yeah.
Do you understand me clearly, sir? You know, you guys can't have it out like I'm from out of town. I'm here. I would have said something, but these guys gotta start controlling the market.
Oh, yeah, no.
They got it.
100%.
They're
They
great
not.
people,
They
I
know
know
where it
them.
goes.
They go
Don't-
all the water.
No, but
And they're gonna tell these guys how they gonna live. Based on race, not telling them what they do. They gotta stop that.
no, don't worry, some of that.
Not like me, I'm saying, I'm cool, I'm one of the cool guys.
They said if you got to go places, take it
Just don't bring it out while we're going to leave it till later.
Calvin, you know Calvin? He's one of the radio guys.
Okay, got it.
So I did something for him, Calvin, some months back. We just clicked, man.
Hey, you want to use
Like, I was here the other day, they had a little something outside, not working, and I was here, and I was talking to Warren, and he just went, like, he showed me, you talking, he said, let me show you inside. I didn't think there was nothing inside, man.
Yeah.
And I came here, it's like, 2 radio stations, got this room here, dude, so it's basically the world is yours.
Drink your water.
Listen, Warren, me and Warren, we've been down for like,
World is
for like
yours.
6 years? 5 or 6 years now?
Yeah, something like that.
World is
World is
yours.
yours.
On the side of a water.
Supposed to drink a gallon a
You know,
day.
I mean, hell
Yeah.
Yeah.
this is a cool dude, man. Like,
I mean,
I told him I'll do anything for him.
Yeah.
You know,
We gotta really like, you know, Jay Morrison.
yeah.
He has a bad rep because he did a lot of bad business. But we do something similar where we got the little PA wire layers and have just have a PA system and talk.
Yeah,
Right to do that.
It's not right.
Like outside, like Bishop Street, like it don't matter where, like just go and I spit. Like I'm gonna get paid to do this. Like I just show up on tour every week. I get. But I'm here because
It don't even taste like.
So what do you do?
So I'm a real estate investor.
Oh,
I have
nice.
4 businesses.
Woo.
Like
Not bread.
I just put $3 grand in my account before I got here.
Talk
Like, it's
regular.
that. Thank you. These guys gotta understand, like this is
Like, you know,
it's just here. This is where your money's at. Here.
And you know what? And kudos to Warren. He knows it. He knows that. And that's why when he reached out to me and we got all this set up, this was 2. And the thing is like you would hope, and just like with any state, right?
Yeah.
A kid grows up into that state, they go to college and everything. The state wants that kid to come back to that state, work for that state, pay taxes.
I'm telling you, listen, you don't gotta work for anybody if you don't want to. And there's ways of doing that, but you gotta be quicker.
How many
than-
times you gotta tell you it's not
faster,
bread?
think faster.
What is it?
You could do this yourself, have a business, and you can eat.
Something
And
to
you
make
can wait for you without what you want. but you
It's
could do what you
festival.
do.
It's literally.
And that's why we have, like last week, we spoke about
Come on now,
retirement.
you gotta
Time, what do you look
cooperate
like?
with us.
Exactly, you know, and
Now
that's
you go to the great playing golf?
I was wondering.
All right, on the hours,
You know, you come playing golf? Of course not. My retirement, my retirement looks like this. I got these businesses from I run a playground in Hartford. That playground is 6 for Hartford, so I wake up 3 in the morning, 3:30, go to the people, pick up my bread, drop
I
it
heard
off.
you the
Done
first
by
10
9.
times.
It's a 6-figure
Okay.
business by itself.
More time.
And what business is
This
this?
is, I deliver
Yeah.
bread.
Okay.
I fired my employer the other day, so I have to do it.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that when you retire, it's that you're waking up and you just don't get it.
Mhm.
When you know your situation's taken care of. But I'm just
I know
as
they
much
spend a lot of
Exactly.
I'm on tour doing these venues.
Yeah.
I got a
But I
band that I
don't
manage
touch
as well. Like I have a label, Cook Street Recording Company.
Okay.
Cook Street, that street on there.
Mhm.
I had a house I sold that made a lot of money. I made a lot of money. And I said, I'm gonna get back, have this label, develop an artist, but really take them on the road.
Yeah.
Like not just have a studio. You know, it's this thing is so easy, man. Things are looking.
I didn't say that. Yes, you
That's what I was
did.
thinking. I'm flipping.
You didn't right, I didn't hear you say that.
Yeah.
I want to ding, 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 like, look,
Who are
man,
you talking
this is,
to?
I'm you.
What's
Like,
your
we not, we go away from this room, dude.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like, my little man he's got lots of homes, man. Like, I do it for them, like, it's not about me.
How many kids?
I have 2 kids, so you split up evenly.
We have 3.
You want to be sufficient. Meaning that your stuff you did last year, take care of this year. That's what I'm talking about.
Alright, I don't mean to rush y'all, but.
Go grab some.
Oh, go get some.
Eat
You
up.
got a jerky in here, man?
Well, be done what you done.
I eat slow too.
Got some rice and peas?
And he can't get up, so.
Why y'all keep getting that on me?
We'll be
Why?
done when he gets up to go down
Get
the
up. Old
You
man.
got the rice, man.
It ain't about being old.
You'll get up when you're ready to go to bed.
No, that's good. No. You want some
You need always a little.
I'm gonna go.
Seriously?
Okay, I'm gonna find the phone.
Nobody made
Why?
you
It's
a
going
plate.
on.
bro.
No, it's just,
Okay.
it's probably 1/4 less than 9.
Yo, take something good. All right, I can buy you a award. All set. Okay.
You said what?
Oh, wait, hold on. There you go. Thank you.
Oh.
Need this together, okay?
Actually,
Thank you. Say thank you. You gonna eat this food here? Come. You like, I don't know, but.
No.
Here, take this.
Touch the bus, it's on bus. I was about to say, yep, I did it.
Kinda messed up, nobody did it.
No, it's for chicken.
Yeah, man. So how long you been doing the IRS
You
thing?
thought you ate.
PRs,
Yeah.
Sit down, let's quick pass the sauce.
You got me.
Almost in January 4th, 2019.
Oh, so you've been doing it 2 years?
Yep.
Next
Two
time.
girls.
Next time.
I had
graduation.
rather than the butter.
You?
This.
Oh, you want?
Oh, yeah, because I don't know how spicy it is.
No?
Make sure you get that.
I'm like, and then we found a little piece that next.
It's funny because I'm on leave right now, right? Because of my surgery. And I'm on leave until January 16th.
Oh, wow.
So, like, one of my coworkers was joking with me, it's like, and I better come back. Because she knows that, I do, this. And we also are into real estate as well. So we actually have a flip on the market now that's under contract right now.
Flip houses, man. So we all got the same real estate blood in us.
Yeah.
How many you own though?
Just two.
Just two?
Yeah, we just started looking into the real estate part of it.
When I grew up on real estate, with him, you gotta come on.
It
That's how I did it.
was.
You know, I did it. Taking the bank's money, playing with the banks. Bank's your friend.
I just ate a whole spoon.
When you can just call somebody, you got a loan, pre-approved.
Yep.
So you got a history of somebody. Like Waterbury is slow hanging fruits. Slow hanging fruit, but you gotta have the right people to make things happen.
I do that.
Who?
I said, I see people do that.
Of course you don't.
Can't believe it.
Alright, at least you know.
Yeah, I'm waiting for that.
Right.
Cause nobody told Kenneth you went. There was a surprise. Carried on. Where are they?
I don't do it. He does it.
So when you put them on
He said no video,
It's not for time.
but his buddies in the back.
I want to see how you got.
You might put it on the button.
I said, you know.
Talk to me about that.
You got permission?
I'm gonna log into my site. I bet you got a video.
I accidentally did my fork out.
Ooh, there's no more.
I'm not using my hands.
Finger food?
Hey, y'all don't want me to get messy. Nothing we haven't seen?
Come on, come on, man. Where you going? Come back up, eat some food. Do something. Eat this, no, it's hot.
I wasn't talking about the dirty sauce. I said it tastes like, it tastes like that steak sauce. Don't do that, you know. You talking about that, A1, yeah.
You say you're out of
Yeah,
town?
I'm not.
I live in Bristol now, but I have a lot of homes in Waterbury.
Okay, so you're still from Connecticut.
Yeah, I'm from Stanford. Well, I lived in Waterbury for 4 years.
I
Gotcha.
said cake and bag.
Water?
Cake and bag. Good job. You know I ain't here yet.
Oh, look up the platform.
That's how I'm done on you.
Well, we know that, oh yeah, that definitely came from over there, because you ain't got no handles, so obviously,
Bottle of water right there.
I'm gonna just keep this there. Don't correct me. You.
I don't even.
She don't correct me. I don't even know that junk is. Let's make it fair, y'all. But let's get it next time. I was listening to what you were saying.
You smoke?
I need a cup, man.
You smoke?
You got the bottle.
Never.
who the best player in the NBA right now?
Kevin Durant.
Really?
Yeah.
You say Giannis?
At the that man out of here.
What?
Run.
That man has my heart.
Open it.
I don't know. KD never really like.
Huh?
KD never really stood out to me like that.
Oh, you
I feel
bum.
like at that point,
Lakers have been losing.
if you could get some chicken then though, but you better do that first.
No.
You gotta be, you were supposed to go the right way, what happened?
Warriors?
I canceled on that myself. I told my
Who got better dribble?
Because I want to.
Kyrie or Steph?
Steph Curry.
Crazy. Kyrie all day.
Kyrie bust. Kyrie.
Are you crazy?
You think Steph Curry got better dribbling skills than Kyrie Irving?
Yes. He will cry.
You
He will
crazy.
cry.
He shoot better, yeah, I give him that, but he ain't got better handle.
He got amazing handle.
You're crazy.
No, Steph got good handle.
It's winning good.
I don't think he better than Kyrie.
Okay.
Ain't that much.
But can you guard him?
Heck no. That was me, I'm kicking him in the shin. Something.
I'm tripping him.
Yeah, I'm following the heck out of it.
I'm like,
Every time me and Nelly play 1-on-1, she's always. But listen, I'm shorter. So what am I gonna do? I don't care. If she gotta drop too bad, so what I'm gonna do? Nelly herself, I can't put my hands up.
Why you think
She
you just
elbows
let
me
it
in
go?
her face, punches like. Oh man. She did 2 times.
Wait, you said she.
She punches. It's like. I didn't be doing all that. I just be playing, and then she be trying to get the rebound, so I be jumping, and then I hit her in the face.
No, that's not how it happens. I'll try to go up or something, and she's right there.
It's a physical sport.
Boxing. No, she's boxing me in the paint like.
This girl, listen, if she playing in a game and she gets hurt, this girl will literally stop in the middle of the game and listen.
Why are you lying?
Who's lying? You.
I need to see video.
About the ankle.
Oh, that's in practice. In practice, if you hurt me, I'll be like, I swear to God, it be bad too. I'll get hurt real bad, and all I'll do is I'll jump around until I can't feel it anymore. No, she screams for a second, and then I'll stop until it's gone.
Like, why? Okay, Ian, you'll be getting hurt. Like, okay, Miss.
So do you, but it's a physical sport. I don't complain as much as you.
I only complain when what did I have?
No, like,
did you make
or
this
that's
on
what
myself?
you're
No. Do it with your mouth.
You do yourself.
She busted my lip, and she said I was complaining too much. Like, no, she was talking her lip busted.
Yeah.
No,
I don't know why they.
like, that's not basketball.
It's a physical sport.
How long you guys been playing?
I don't even know. I'm not even gonna lie.
It's been a while though.
How long? How many
When I was
years?
in like the 10th or 6th
Like, at the end of 8th grade.
Josh, I'll ask you all these questions, but it seems like you be riding the bench.
Yeah, I started playing when I was like
I didn't say nothing. You just be hating. You always a hater.
Bro, I heard your sister be cooking you.
Never that.
I never even play with Josh.
You say you do. The last time we spoke, you said that he said the score was
Right.
tied up.
I played him now one time. I still played him.
And who won?
It was hard. No, Josh. And I wasn't even playing. I had my crocs on. I'm like,
Oh.
you can't even play with
Y'all
Josh.
should be learning again by now. Y'all still eating?
Yes.
We got 3 minutes.
When you play with Josh, but there's nothing to really say. What was I saying? Yeah, when you play with Josh, you gotta watch out because he pushed Chandler into a pole.
Really?
Yeah, I busted my eyebrow open, and then I had to get stitches. But he didn't do it on purpose.
Yes, he did. Like, I was going for a layup. I physically saw Josh. I passed Josh. He's down low. He got mad that I passed him. Josh does something he knows. So he sees me, I'm already past him. So I saw him put 2 of his hands on him, physically push me. Everybody's like, no, I don't think he did it on purpose.
No, but
I
she scared me
saw
when she
him.
cried because
I was like,
Bruh.
it was like, you heard the pole. Like, the
Bruh.
pole started shaking.
You over there eating the chocolate
she
like.
got so mad. Like,
Bruh.
I don't even know what was wrong.
You pushed her because you was about to get dunked on.
Yep.
They'll say it now, like they don't care. But
I know.
before,
I didn't push her.
Yeah,
She over there jacking. I went up for a thing out here.
Josh didn't even come close with his hand up. Josh don't know how to block people.
Chandler, how you gonna say something when you get hit with a pole, Chandler? I didn't say
the
what is
pole
behind
is
you.
still.
The pole is literally still. That's not my
I didn't say what is behind you though.
Look, I'm halfway going. I'm ready
ding, 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 ding. It was the whole rattling like. I was on the floor.
That's the one boy.
And at first I got up. I wasn't crying. I wasn't crying at first. But then Jordan came. She was like, oh my God.
She looks mad scary when she cries.
I can't like. My face is red. Like, it
No,
got
it's not even that. You be like,
I can't even explain.
That bring me something.
What?
Something to drink. I finished my water like an hour ago.
Somebody gotta take that way.
oh, I was about to say,
I'm
you can
gonna,
get up
I'm
and
gonna
get
get
it.
some more cabbage, but somebody can take the rest of, you want the rest of the rice? Somebody want the rice?
No.
Nah, you want the rice? Yeah, you gonna eat at home. Take the rice.
I'll grab you one.
You start class?
After she grabbed my
Yeah.
I need
Yeah.
water.
You gonna start class? Yeah. Yeah, I'm out.
Look,
We can't do Jamaica food no more. Y'all just get completely lost in the food, man.
didn't you say you wanted us to eat it? Now it's gone, and now we look like,
You know why I like you?
why?
Because I'm a logical person too. I have no comeback for what you just said. And I like to argue, but
I'm done with you. That means, listen, I love to argue.
if you like to argue, no
We
teaching
don't
you.
know. I don't care.
You gotta go to law school. You gotta go to law school. You like to argue?
That's like a high water car.
You don't like to argue crazy stuff, right?
Huh?
You like to argue facts.
You like to argue anything that's
Anything?
everything like I'm not wrong half the time.
You don't need facts?
What?
On that night.
Suddenly I can say
Wait, you pointing at me?
What she needs is a beat. She needs to go to that.
she's right now.
Okay.
I am.
So now she's lying.
I ain't right.
No.
Me and Chip used to argue all the time.
It
was so bad.
You should tell. But we were like, look at his
Every day.
But sometimes we were just like saying our opinions, and then people would think we were arguing.
Okay,
It
but
was
I
like,
said my opinion. You get mad.
No, I'd be like, cause you're wrong. Like,
No,
no.
I'm finished. Almost.
Okay, because I'm finished.
Okay, I can
Are you remember the rules?
What? Breathing.
I was multitask.
It's breathing. I look at home.
Cause you said when I'm done, we talk.
Who said you had to say something? Who said that you could have to comment on what I said?
Josh, clean your area.
We're gonna start again. It seems like you're finished.
I'm not finished.
Oh my God, you don't know no time.
Oh, the place, the jump.
That's it. You're done. You're done. You're done. You're done. Shut up. I would never be done.
I'm not trying to sleep.
You're done right now.
Y'all gotta do
No,
that.
I'm not.
Blow it up, blow it up. Blow it up.
What happened?
Y'all should just keep like a virtual diary. I didn't see it, but.
I was just sitting here. I'm about to choke. Oh my God. Alright. Put it back down.
What?
I already wanted. Oh, I thought you would have took mine. About to say.
Okay,
Let's get back to it.
Did I eat some?
Pancakes.
I think you're not good.
Back
Put it
to
in yours.
life. Oh, you know it. To
It
we had
probably
family
was-
reunion.
It probably was on like a Fortnite season.
I have an old grandfather. Like I
Oh
know
gosh.
stuff.
I
know
have family reunion.
My thing is, why you have to throw old in? Just the fact that he's your grandfather, we can kind
I'm
of.
almost 70.
Got it.
I know.
Huh?
No, it's old.
Yeah, but.
But he's
normally
older.
grand-
Okay, so what do you want me to say?
Just grandfather.
Grandfather.
Alright, so, next on the list, we're gonna talk about the terms of insurance, homeowners and renters insurance. Homeowners and renters insurance is insurance that covers loss, and damages to an individual's house and assets in the home. If you purchase a house in Connecticut, you have to have homeowners insurance, right? Like, Your mortgage company isn't going to give you a loan without some type of homeowner's insurance. However, renter's insurance is more of an option to you as the renter. But you want to keep in mind that if your building that you're renting, like catches fire, you're not home, you're safe and all that stuff, goes up in flames and everything is lost, guess what? All your possessions are also lost. The landlord, the person that owns the building, they have insurance on the actual structure, right? Because it's their building, so they have insurance. So they're gonna have money to rebuild and fix that up and everything. But however, all your things that are in there, without renter's insurance, you're basically starting over from scratch. And you being young, this being your first apartment, that could be a lot of money, right? Because it was probably like, I worked hard to get these things that I have in there already, right? So then you have to start over. So renter's insurance is an option, but homeowner's insurance mandatory.
Let me ask you a question. The stuff that you guys have in your room right now, could you afford to lose all of it?
No. If there was a fire, I swear to God,
Out the window running around, grabbing them. Because ain't no
So just forget your brother in the next room. You just want to save all your
It's
shit.
good.
Yes. Tell me who's
Listen, I was always planning on it. Like, what would I grab?
Yeah.
But I don't even know.
I'll
He'll probably come back. But
out the window, run around the house and grab him and leave.
I would tie something. On my window because I'm a little high up. So I would like tie a sheet or whatever so I'm able to climb down. And then my shoes would my shoes go first and then
you.
me.
Oh, okay.
You just throw everything
Fellas.
going out the window, then you just jump out.
Now I'm with you on your shoes.
Oh, y'all with them on your shoes?
Oh, man.
But, and I bring that up just to let you know, so that's just your room. So when you actually do have a house or an apartment, you're gonna have multiple rooms filled with multiple things.
Then listen,
Dang. Flash.
trust me, and that is not where the
Make sure you're protected.
Oh.
She said, oh, the kids, yeah. After the shoes though, right?
Oh, yeah. They'll probably be grabbing theirs too.
Right.
Make sure you're protected so that, when you put in a claim,
It just matters where
you can document all of these
it
things.
just matters where the fire is. So if it's on the other side of the house, I'll go
No.
on this side.
It depends on the
I'll go
sign,
there.
because I might you would put it out. This lit, yeah. But if it's lit,
Always have a fire extinguisher handy. That's
yeah.
good fire safety. So this insurance also provides liability coverage against accidents in the house or on the property. So for instance, you go over to a friend's house and you're older in life now and they're having a barbecue and for some reason they haven't fixed that rackety hand railing that they have and you slip and you fall and you hurt yourself, like
You can sue them.
you can sue them and their homeowner's insurance would have to cover your medical
Well, like, that's
expenses.
so bad. That's your friend and your student. Right.
Your friend just risked your life. Like, bro.
I mean, you don't have to sue them. You could just file a claim against their homeowner's
Maybe
policy instead of, having to pay medical expenses out of
For
pocket.
what? I don't know. I'll just fake fall down the stairs.
I'm like, dang, there's a camera right there.
Yeah, right. And that's why, get all them cameras because you got your friends.
Yeah, that's not
Oh, every time somebody comes over to our house and we be like, listen, you fall, that's your problem.
Yeah.
All right.
That's something she would do. I'm not even about to lie.
Alright,
So ID protection, right?
what do you think
What
that
is
covers?
that? What is that?
Mighty.
No, Josh.
Like protect only things that all your personal information. So you look at that.
No, you didn't.
It's self-explanatory.
Identification protection coverage, right? So because we are age of technology, right? All around this, it's so easy. Who has heard or know of someone whose identity has been stolen?
No.
No?
Y'all never heard someone like they refund check? They didn't get it because someone.
Refund, tax.
They hack into your
Yeah.
social security.
No, seriously.
How would I know somebody? I don't know.
Oh, they
Or
they're to their
heard.
parents. Their parents.
heard.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we know about stuff like
Yeah.
that. Nobody's like that.
No. They know better.
Because y'all too young to
Yeah.
have your
Well,
anyone can have their
social
identity
security
stolen,
number.
but
That's
It's not even just that. So for instance,
I was
my
somebody
sister-in-law,
else.
his sister, right? somebody broke into her car.
Mhm.
Not really broke in her, she left the
Reversed
car open and they opened the car. Went in there, took her wallet. Within a matter of 2 hours, $5,000
They spent.
they spent between her,
This is why my mom
her
be turning
bank,
off her.
between her, bank account and cards, right? I mean, McDonald's, Wendy's, liquor store, tobacco
Cigarette
shop,
shop, gas station.
gas station, places that they hit. And so it was in Bristol, so this all happened basically here, was where they came. So, you know, it's like, it's not just, when they steal your social security and your identification, and it, you know, whatever, it's just like, you know, small, you know, it's not small, it's a lot. The point I'm trying to make is that it happens and it happens more frequently, and it's important for us to think about protection of that, because it took her months of fighting this battle to do it herself, and she still has one battle that she hasn't fully won yet. She's still fighting it, and the thing is, it takes so much time and effort to do this, and if you're working, you gotta go file this report and that report and follow up on that, you know. So what this protection does, it kind of, they fight that battle for you, right? The time that you'd be using to do that. Identification protection covers an individual if his personal identification is ever stolen. It monitors your other financials, including credit cards and bank accounts, as well as search for loans or credit applications that are being filed in your name. So, you know, any of that, they'll, you know, like, hold on, I didn't do this, and then, you know, you can notify them as quickly as possible, because there was an old Lifetime movie where, you know, the lady's identity got stolen, and, you know, before all of this that we know now, it's like really hard. Yeah, it's really hard to like tell somebody, no, I'm me, just that they stole my passport and my driver's license, and I have no other form of identification. Then how do you prove that you're this person who you say you are, right? It's like, anyways, I digress. Asset protection. Who knows what asset protections could be?
Protection of your assets.
Context clues. So asset protection is a concept of and strategies for guarding one's wealth, because we don't want anyone to come after our things, and we all know that we live in a very sue-happy nation, meaning that people will sue you for anything. Like the old lady that sued McDonald's because she spilled hot coffee on herself, like she didn't order hot coffee, like what you ordered your coffee to be cold.
She wouldn't.
Yes, she did.
How?
Questions we all, you know, ponder at night. And that too.
Like, bro, what? That's your fault you spilled it.
I think because although it was common sense in the law, common sense is like.
Not so common.
It's supposed to be hot tea, so how you?
But the thing is, McDonald's didn't have enough warnings on the coffee mug that the coffee is hot and don't let it touch your skin, right?
But you ordered hot tea, so hot coffee.
But you know what? McDonald's is such a giant of an organization. They're like,
It was nothing.
we're just gonna give her whatever she wants just to get this out, and then they just have to revamp all their cups and put all those warnings on them. But yeah, people will sue and.
But the point is that somebody, if they see that you are doing well for yourself and you have multiple things that's established and you're driving around in your Bugatti, I mean, they're gonna be like, oh, my neck, my back, my shoulders, hold on. Nobody, there was like this whole meme where this guy, you saw it? He legit walked in front of the car with it like fell. Anyway, the point is that he's trying to go after you, so.
Or Ezekiel from Friday.
Asset protection is
My neck, my back, my leg,
Everything.
and my back.
is a component of financial planning intended to protect one's assets from creditors and claims, right? So individuals and business entities use asset protection techniques to limit creditors' access to certain valuable assets while operating within the bounds of debtor-creditor laws, right? So for instance, if for some reason like you owe the state of Connecticut like, I don't know, $5,000 for some back tax or whatever, I don't know. they can't just come after all your other assets if you own them in this one area, right? So, having a good, what are they called? What are they called? The people that do your taxes?
CPAs?
Yes, accountants. Set these things up so that you have good protection in place so that.
Yeah, you can have a tax attorney.
Just a lawyer, yeah.
Yeah, mostly a tax attorney that could set up, asset protection. For instance, in the state of Connecticut, as far as taxes go, we can go into your bank account and we can wipe out all the money in your bank account, right?
Personally.
Yeah, we can go, that's the thing. A lot of people think personally, but we can actually go for what's called, if you have LLC, we can actually still go after your assets.
It's in Delaware, you can't.
Exactly. Well, it depends on where your assets are.
I didn't say that, man.
So yeah, it depends on where your assets are. So if you have a bank account and you use like say a top bank, like Bank of America, TD Bank, Key Bank, these banks are like national banks, right? If you have one of those bank accounts, guess what? Because it's a national bank, we can go into that account. But if you have like a SunTrust Bank in Delaware that's only local to Delaware, state of Connecticut can't touch that.
Or Cayman Islands or something.
Nobody going that far.
But yeah, so asset protection is absolutely something that if you know that you're going to be an entrepreneur and you know that you're going to be building money, that's something that you want to invest in. Is to get asset protection for your businesses, your companies, your properties. Because I'm telling you, these white people, they have asset protection and you can't touch them. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Can't touch. All right, so wills, we've heard of them, right? We know we understand what a will is. So a will is a legal document that spells out who receives your assets when you die. Why is it important for us to establish wills? Anybody? Anybody? Yes,
Get the money.
So who can get the money,
So you
Josh?
can leave your child with money later on.
It doesn't have to be your child, your
Well-
family, whoever you want.
Anybody, right, exactly. Because guess what? When we don't leave wills, right, what's something that you, from your parents, that you want?
Nothing?
Money.
Property?
They have
Money.
money.
Whoa,
They're
yes.
What's behind it?
Besides money,
Their
you have
house.
something to say?
No, when you finish, I'll add on to it.
Oh.
House.
Their house. What else? Your mom don't have any jewelry that you like, Dad, I want that one day.
No.
No.
It might not be to your styling, but if it's real,
Oh, my sister? No, because if I want her will, I'm taking all her clothes and her bags and stuff like that. She's mad bougie.
your sister.
Yes, no, but she raised me basically.
Oh, okay.
So the thing is,
No.
sometimes when people pass away and their siblings and everything, and they don't leave wills behind, the family then fights over every little thing, right? That people leave behind, right? Like, no, that's granddad's favorite chair. I know when he carved something in the side of it. Sentimentally, it's not always like monetary value, it's just sentimentally. So having a will set up is super important because you don't ever want your loved ones to
Some
be
people
fighting.
really don't do it though. Some people really don't do it though.
Oh, a lot of people in our community don't set wills.
Chandler, how many siblings do you have? 3? If your parents were to pass away now, right, and the house that you live in is worth, say, $500,000.
Yeah, you got it. Wow.
Siblings. You're 1, William's 2, Brandon's 3. I don't count myself. Slowly.
Wow.
She's
It's
not a-
her sibling.
So there's 4. And so now, say a will was never set up. Both your parents passed away, the house is fully paid off, and it got appraised for $500,000. Who gets it?
Me.
All of you.
He's saying him, you're saying all of you.
I said the oldest.
The oldest?
I said all.
It was funny.
But you see what I'm saying?
It's split it evenly. That's not fair.
Exactly. You see how this conversation is happening?
But
But
that's how it goes.
not
What
raised
if
like that.
your sister raised you? well, I raised her, I'm the mom, I get all of it, and I may give you a little, you know what I'm saying?
Then I raised all of them, so I get that money.
But the thing is, when money comes into play,
I raised
and there aren't things in place, these conversations that should be like, where you're mourning and you're supposed to be like thinking of great memories of the people that you just lost, these conversations come to play and then it just becomes like, right? Very easily escalates.
That's right. The saying that's like money's the root of our problems. Like,
Man, my grandpa, he was mad over, he has a lot of money. We used to live with him, right? But he always gives me pecans and stuff. Like, he'll mail everybody else some money. And then gives me pecans because when I was younger,
You love people.
I loved pecans. And I don't know how to tell him, like, okay, grandpa, like, give me some. They getting hundreds. I would have getting hundreds of pecans. Like, I would be eating them. So I feel like he's gonna have a will, right? He's gonna have a will and everybody gonna get money and I'm gonna get his pecans. Like, I'm gonna cry.
what if he?
What if he saved my money? Like,
No, what if he put your money into like a pecan?
when you guys gotta give me some
You
pecans.
never know, right? You find a company that invested in pecans. Who knows?
Oh, I would have known.
Yeah.
Sorry, I would have said something. I don't want these
So,
pecans no
Hold
more.
on.
kind of like what he was saying, just to add to it, when someone passes on, you're gonna go to probate, right? So if you don't have a will, the judge decides where the assets are going to. With the will, it dictates where the money should go. Probate costs money, it's stress. Having a will makes everyone's life easier.
A lot easier.
Yes.
Correct. 100%.
So not having a will can force your heirs to spend additional time, money, and emotional energy to settle your affairs after you're gone. So, dun dun dun, it's important. Right?
You can imagine you lose, like, you know, your parents, and you're there fighting over property.
I'm gonna put it all on there because I know some type faceted, write faceted.
That too.
I don't know how you did
Yeah,
this.
No, because imagine
I did that.
Like,
Yeah.
all your siblings are getting money and you're getting tree nuts.
It's not even funny. Like, I'm really going through it. And he'd be like, he'd call me, he'd be like, you like the pecans I got to like? Yes, grandpa, I love
You're gonna be like, Grandpa, I love the pecans, but I also would love $100.
No, he goes like,
like,
I'm not getting nothing.
I think I ate them too much when I was younger. I don't like
Yes.
eating it.
And I was like to his side, I don't understand why he's not giving me no money.
You ever heard that saying, closed mouths don't get fed? You gotta tell them, because if you don't tell them,
Obviously, I'm getting fed, like, I'm
no, but that's what I'm saying, you getting fed, but you're not getting that money.
All right, so
And you got
here's
Josh walking over here with $100, and you got like pecans.
deductibles. All right, so the deductible is the amount that must be paid out of pocket by the policyholder, right? Which would be us if we're the policyholder, before an insurance provider will pay any expenses, right? So when we talked about earlier between that most Americans can't cover an emergency ranges from $500 to $1,000, 10 times out of 10 your deductibles are going to be like $500 or $1,000, right? So if you get into a car accident, before the insurance company is going to like pay out any claims or anything like that, you have to pay for your deductible, right? Whether it's the $500 or $1,000. And if you have to come up with that by going to a car or something, you're just digging yourself into a further hole, because what if then they deny the claim, right? Because it happened to this guy and his motorcycle, which we won't get into, and then at some point you don't have it no more. Premium. Premium is the amount of money that an individual must pay for insurance policy. So if you take out an insurance policy like life insurance, your premium would be like $500 for the year. So, and then they would then break it up into the 12 months if that's what you want, or you could pay it every quarter or for the year. But that's your premium. Manual. Copay. So copay is a fixed amount you pay for a covered healthcare service after you pay your deductible. So sometimes if we go to the doctor's office,
Like today,
you'll be met with some form of copay.
$15.
The copay amount is dependent on your insurance.
Just letting them know.
And so it could be,
$15.
it could be 5, 15, 25, it's dependent, right? Any questions on these terms? No. Once you've written it, once you've gotten those, go to your quiz.
You don't got no pen, actually. I got a pencil.
You need another pen?
No, I was gonna ask you, I have a pencil or something.
So what if I get one wrong?
Oh, you just cross it out and circle the right one.
No, because I know I got it wrong.
You're gonna know.
Is this an empty book here?
No.
No.
Oh, somebody wrote off.
Yeah, that's the girl that left early. She got her stuff in there.
You should literally be in class in high school.
Yeah.
There is that.
It's a lot of.
Huh?
What class?
I think I was taught a different class in high school. And I didn't take it.
Some high schools do, as of late, are trying to incorporate personal finance, but
My dad.
I would say probably like 5 to 10% of high schools is that they do it.
But I wanted.
And we
Public.
that's why we pay our taxes still, right?
Yeah, but they'll teach you how to sew some underwear, right?
Yeah.
I had sewing and
Listen, you need your core skills, man.
Who's
Yeah.
the cat's on the floor?
Math.
Where? But he.
no, I think Josh threw it at her.
I did not throw it at her.
Josh, go pick it up.
I did not throw it at her. How would I throw all across that?
1, 2, probably 3 people that she stopped drinking the water.
She's just waiting for him to come close and pick it up. That's why he's afraid. No, but yeah, in my high school, I think I did, as my elective was sewing and, I didn't want to do automobile.
I mean, I took finance, but it was not personal finance. It was basically, all right, how do you establish a business? Uh-huh. Sure.
Look at balance sheets. Like, that doesn't get you paid.
Listen,
It doesn't.
so, and I tell people this all the time, like,
Thank you.
I have a master's in business administration, and throughout all the business classes I've taken in all my life, not one class dealt with personal finance.
This is the core skill, man.
Yeah, they just don't teach it.
I don't want to learn about history and all that nonsense. Give me the street so I can make some money.
Yeah.
Like, and that's a class, like,
Are we all good?
No, they need us to know our place
7
in
o'clock,
society.
7 o'clock at
There
night.
was
they want you
sleep
to do it.
insurance, I swear to God. Obviously, and nobody. You're gonna have to pay for your sleep. You lying.
I want to do number 1. Numero
Jim
uno.
O'Brien.
I understand I'm doing it.
I'll go. Life insurance important.
Going to
Okay.
It protects you from large financial loss.
Do we all agree?
No.
Correct. Number 2.
Question.
Shut up.
Which statement is true in regards to term life insurance?
What was the question?
I want to answer for D.
D as in David.
Me too.
Yeah.
What? No.
I heard this.
Which statement is true in regards to term life insurance? And you said which one? D is a dog?
Yeah.
Covers you for 20 to 30 years. Who agrees? That is correct. Number 3. The next.
Yeah.
Gemini.
I'm doing 4.
Don't. Oh.
What statement is true in regard to whole life insurance? I put, B, has built-in cash value.
Me too.
Yes. Oh, do we all agree?
Yeah.
Sorry, give it away. Yes, that is correct. 4.
Which one of these is not a form of insurance?
Oh, that's the, of course, one.
Sleep insurance.
You don't say.
Do we all agree? That is correct. I mean, you never know. They do sleep studies. There might be sleep insurance. Who knows? I don't know. No, sir. Number 5. Somebody on this side of the room that I don't want to have to choose. Oh, wow. Thank you.
Should insurance be used for investing? I put B, yes, and potential me.
I put C. What's A?
So everybody can get.
Yes, we'll give you great yields.
Okay, what's C?
No, it will raise your premium.
Who else got anything, something else?
I said D.
What did you have?
No, there are better investment options outside of insurance.
Taylor, you're the only right one over there.
I'll also put B.
No. Oh, now you want. So I tried to dive into this a little bit, right? In terms of giving that example between the, if it costs this much, it costs this much, and invest in the thing. Instead of going with the more expensive form of life insurance, right? Choose the latter one, the term life, where it's less expensive, and then use that extra money to have better investment options, because using life insurance as an investment avenue isn't going to give you a good yield, right? It's not going to give you the percentage that you need.
Life insurance people hate when we tell people that, right? Because they make a lot of money on selling you life insurance that has built-in cash value, right? To the point where one of my frat brothers contacted me and he got into an annuity.
What sorority are you?
Oh, girl.
Oh, I'm not in a sorority. They wouldn't allow me to.
Oh.
So sorority is females
Fraternity, that's what
only.
I meant. That's what I meant.
He knew what you
I
didn't know there was a difference. I thought it was just sorority. That's what I thought they were called.
No, yeah, sororities are females only.
Okay, well, fraternity, yeah.
Fraternities.
What are you?
Well, I don't even know about these days what everything that's.
What are you?
Omega.
I think that's my dad. I don't know.
Purple and gold.
I don't know.
What's your mom?
She's a name all of them. I know what it is.
AKA
Phi
Delta,
Beta
Pacific,
Sigma.
Gamma Rho, Zeta.
Zeta Phi
I
Beta.
think so. Yeah, that.
I see my mom. Yeah, I can see her as being a Zeta.
So, what were you saying? Finish your point. So I can finish up.
I don't know. What was I saying?
I don't know. Anyway, so next week is our last official
And got taken a test.
learning class, learning class.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Make sure y'all all here. The week after that, the 17th, is our
Maybe Warren would
graduation
like to
ceremony.
speak on that.
We're having a
Maybe Warren
graduation?
would want to speak on that.
It'll be all right. I can say one thing about next week's test. Everybody been paying attention?
Yeah.
Everybody know this
I
material?
can use the book, right?
No,
Open book.
it's not open book.
We might think, I might feel like
I'm gonna write it one more.
So
And yo, stop and
they can take these they can take their books home now, right? So you can take your books home now. So let me tell you what the story is. I've done this before. Two people, they didn't come to, I think it was 2 of the classes, and I wasn't gonna give them the money, but they made up the tests, correct? So you'll get a chance, but this is like I said in the beginning, we are here for each other, but you gotta pass this test, right? Is that reasonable?
We gotta get for the.
Ain't nobody anyone paying y'all in the school that you go to now?
I wish.
No.
I'm paying them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They put me in an AP class. They expect me to pay them to take a test.
Yeah, they're like.
Wow. See, that's a whole nother thing. But what all I'm saying is we want to make sure that you guys retain this stuff. You learned it. We're gonna give you a check so that you can invest in yourself. And we're probably, if you guys want to go, we'll work it out next week. We have only 5 kids in our young people in our Afro Latin classes because it's on Saturday, so we're gonna do them now starting next time, we'll do it in the middle of the week. So we decided instead of just taking them on a field trip, we'll take everybody on a
Where
field
we
trip.
going?
We'll figure it out, we'll decide.
We did it overnight one time in Baltimore.
Yeah, we gonna go somewhere, we're gonna go somewhere hot.
How long?
So we'll fit over, what did we do, a weekend? No, it was overnight, it was overnight. We drove to Baltimore, to the hotel. The pool was closed, we messed up with it. So we'll make sure the pool is open this time. And you guys, we'll figure it out with the other class, because we'll all be together for the graduation. We'll figure out, we'll pick some place, we'll go overnight, we'll stay in a nice hotel, and it'll be cool. But you gotta pass the test.
Listen, we just said that you guys can keep your book. We have 2 more sessions next week. If you guys don't show back up here with your books, I'm gonna be very disappointed. Very disappointed.
I'm gonna take a picture of.
So you're gonna leave it
You
here?
know, the black book has all the information.
Right.
I have not been.
Can
Can I take the black book?
You should have that book.
No, to the test.
The black book, y'all should have been finished that book.
And also, we do a quick review.
Yeah, we
Oh, wait,
do.
is the test,
Like, if we do a review
Huh?
is the test,
It's a post-assessment. Let's go test out of there, because a lot of people, when they hear test, they kind of like
yeah,
crystallize.
listen, pre-assessment.
Yeah, so you took
Is
the
it-
free. Now
Is it?
Multiple choice. Yes.
There's multiple
Is it-
choice.
It's in the book.
Oh
It's
my
in the
God.
Listen,
Oh, I'm sorry, chill, finish it.
listen. In a multiple choice test.
Warren, she said, can she finish saying what she was gonna say?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Is it everything, so all the tests in there, right? Is it just those combined?
it's switched up.
It's in the book.
But yes, in a sense, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Y'all gonna be real upset.
Yeah.
No,
Don't disappoint
we're
me.
not. You know why? I'm
No.
gonna take a picture of you, and I'm gonna take a picture of your test score, and I'm putting it all over social media.
I don't care.
Show your mama. Show your mama.
I ain't giving no
that media piece.
Okay, so do they have to pass the test to get that check?
That's what I just said.
Oh,
Is that different?
well, the people that have makeup.
Right.
Y'all can't do worse than
Makeup.
y'all pre-assessment.
No,
Right.
we go over it before.
I got 45.
Yeah, you should make a Kahoot or something. I love that.
He said he got a 45, so he's saying if he get a 55, we good. But
I mean, that is an improvement, but
we don't have a standard, like, you gotta get
Oh, we're
this.
talking about the
no.
but that's the thing. So the average is like 88%.
I got a 40. So what if you
Pre
need
and post. So
Take the book home.
Oh, I got it. But what if
Wait,
you
is the-
need
is the
really
test
trying like
No, we bring the actual
still get a
test.
bad grade?
I think you'll be fine.
I think you all be
sorry.
fine, just don't doubt yourself.
yeah, listen.
Y'all remember what assets were, so. Hey, you're one step ahead.
Cause he just said it when he was.
No, because the most
You got answer for everything. Look, in a multiple choice test, there's 4 possibilities. I'm gonna tell you right now, two of the answers are crazy. It can't be.
yeah, that's what I just don't think.
It always comes down to 2 answers that are plausible. You'll be fine.
That's how I knew what the asset was, because I was not in your reviews for a second. So I just read the questions and I'm like, which one sounds the most realistic? Okay.
Oh man, we got.
All right, but we are,
Oh, it's 7:30.
See, y'all having fun. Y'all don't even know what time it is.
I knew what time it was.
I'm finished. I knew what time it was.
We finished like a whole 7 minutes ago. Y'all the ones that kept talking.
Can you